You are watching Access LaPorte County, Channel 97. Coming up next is the January 13th, 2025 meeting of Long Beach Town Council. You can find more information for this meeting by visiting www.accesslaportecounty.org.
Welcome everybody to the Town Council meeting, January 13th, 2025, Long Beach. Let's please stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Meg, could you do the roll call, please?
Council members: Cindy Levy. Here. Kendra Bartlett. Here. Colleen Lane.
Here.
Joy Schmidt.
Here.
Anita Remigis.
Here.
Chief Swistek.
Present.
Attorney Willoughby.
Here.
Clerk Collins, I'm present, and that concludes roll.
Thank you. My only opening remarks are welcome to Cindy and Colleen. Glad to have you aboard, and we will do the election of officers first before we do anything else.
I would like to make a motion that we appoint Joyce Schmidt as president of the current town council.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you for your confidence. I will nominate Anita Remigis as vice president. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any
Thank you.
opposed?
Sorry.
Okay. Okay, approval of minutes, the council meeting, December 9th, 2024.
I would make a motion to approve the minutes of December 9th, 2024, the regular council meeting.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Approval of minutes, special meeting, December 23rd, 2024.
I would make a motion to approve the special meeting minutes of December 23rd, 2024.
I'll second it.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Year-end meeting, December 30th, 2024.
Should I make it a trifecta? I'll make a motion to approve the year-end meeting minutes of December 30th, 2024.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That brings us to public comments, which will be limited to 3 minutes. Donna, I think you're here for public comments.
Anybody else want to go before me? No? Okay, thank you.
You have to turn that on and then you give an address, please, Donna.
Push this little button.
Yeah.
Hold it for a second. There, you got it. You're good.
Okay. Donna Cavanaugh, Stroud 21, Long Beach. I moved here when I was 3 years old and I'm 72. But when you're 72, you're 19 in your head. Just remember that when you get there, okay? So I want to thank everybody who might have come here when they saw my post, which is why I'm here. I'm not here to get in arguments with anyone or to demand anything. I'm actually here just to ask a question of you. And I'm starting off the new year because I used to live in LA. And actually, I had an offer on my house and I was planning to move to Pacific Palisades in 2 years. And I guess that's not gonna happen. God bless them. So, I just want to say that a year ago, this month, there was a comment put on the table about not feeding the deer anymore, not feeding the wildlife. There were stipulations 6 feet high for bird feeders, etc. I've lived here since I was 3 years old, off and on, and I'll have to tell you that I've had a lot of people calling me, texting me, sending me emails for a year, because I'm in the media and people know me, and so they know that I've been somewhat harassed. I've had people filming me in my home when I was outside. I've had people sending nasty emails to me. I don't care. You know, at 72, you don't care anymore. You just want to do what you think is right. So when I'm asking the board, the town council, and nothing personal to anyone, okay? You and I have had some problems in the past. Let's let it go. Can we do that, Kendra?
Just a comment on it.
Okay, I'm just saying, you know, I would like to ask you to consider sending out postcards like you did when we were fighting over killing the deer, to ask the people of Long Beach what they think about feeding the wildlife. And I'll just tell you this last little story real quick. I have a heated pet house in the front of my property. And the little homeless cats come. There's several of them in my neighborhood that are homeless. It's very cold out. And last night I looked out there and there was a possum inside. I mean, even possums want to stay warm, okay? And about an hour later I heard screaming and yelling, and I went outside and the pussycat kicked the possum out. Get out of my house. So I know that they're hungry, they're cold. We live in the Indiana Dunes, so I'm just asking the town council, will you consider sending out postcards to everybody in Long Beach? We're a democracy, I still think we are, and ask them 2 questions. Do you want to continue to put a kibosh on feeding the wildlife? I know the deer are a big problem, I understand that. Or not? Just send it out, see what your constituents that you represent have to say about that. So I'm pleading with you to do that. Thank you for giving me the time. And I wish you all the best in the new year. Thank you. God bless.
Thank you. Thank you, Donna. Any more public comments in the audience?
Hi, my name's Mary Keene. I'm at Stop 20. Thank you for your service to the community. I just wanted to address the widening of Lakeshore Drive and my concerns. One of which is I've been in my home for 53 years. The only parking we have is in the front of our home. And we have nothing. We have no garage, we have no driveway, our septic field is the front of our house. That would tremendously affect the value of our home to begin with, and we would have nowhere to park if the streets were widened. In addition to that, the shoulders along Lakeshore Drive are the only reprieve that walkers and joggers get from the trail. So it's just a concern of mine. There's a lot of full-grown, old, established trees right along there that I feel would be affected by the widening, and I hope that you will take these things into consideration. I don't know what the thought is behind it. I know there's a lot of traffic, but I think that when it's a little more difficult for cars to navigate the street, it makes them drive more cautiously. I almost feel like if we widened it, it would just become a highway, and it's busy enough in the summer as it is. So just thank you for your time, but I hope you consider those things, because I don't think I'm the only person that would be effective with parking.
Not at all.
Yeah. Okay, thanks.
Okay, thank you very much. Any more comments from the audience? Any comments on Zoom? Hearing none, we will move on to committee reports. Police Department Commissioner Chief Swistek.
Good evening. For the month of December, the Long Beach Police Department responded to 335 calls for service when compared to 201 in the previous year, for an increase of 134 calls for service. When reviewing those, the majority of those were officer-initiated traffic stops. The officers conducted quite a few traffic enforcement activities during the month of December. Also during the month, there were 19 incident reports that were documented. A total of 9 individuals were arrested, 5 misdemeanor arrests for operating a motor vehicle with a suspended driver's license, 2 warrant arrests, 1 misdemeanor arrest for operating a motor vehicle while intoxicated, and 1 misdemeanor arrest for possession of marijuana. I want to touch on, I've been asked often since Michigan has opened up quite a few of the marijuana dispensaries. I've often been asked, are we seeing an increase of marijuana? And yes, we are. Highway 12, most of our traffic stops that we are making, we do find quite a bit of marijuana that's coming from the state of Michigan back over into Indiana. So our officers are aware of that. We've made the prosecutor aware as well. And we'll continue to work over through those hurdles as we address them. I was also asked, is it enough probable cause for us just to sit and wait at the Michigan line for people to come over? And we do not do that. The only way we're encountering this is when we actually have enough probable cause to stop a vehicle for speeding, driving left to center, some sort of traffic infraction, and then during our traffic enforcement is typically when we're coming across the marijuana in our traffic stops. And then lastly, on the police side, I just wanted to touch on Sunday, January 26th, we will be hosting a blood drive in cooperation with the Fraternal Order of Police at Dunes Lodge 75 on US 20. This is the annual blood drive that the Long Beach Police Department Long Beach Police Department partners with the FOP. I would encourage everyone to come out and participate. I know every year we've had a great participation from our town, so I thank you for your continued support with that blood drive. And there was not a police commission meeting for the month.
Thank you. Town Administrator, Chief?
Okay, touch on a couple of things. Town Facebook page. I want to thank our administrative assistant, Kayla. Her ongoing creativity and energy has been a blessing since we hired her last fall. She created a Facebook page now for the town of Long Beach, so please follow us on that particular Facebook page. Today she posted information about watching your pipes so that they don't freeze during the upcoming cold weather. And I'm just very excited to see some of the other things that she'll be posting in the near future. Already council members have sent information to her to post as well. And then we're also asking department heads to participate to get that information out. And then we also share it through the police department and fire department and the park board's Facebook as well. So I would encourage you to follow all of those town pages. Snow operations are going quite well. Thanks to Tom, Chris, Austin, and Greg. The 4 of them were out over the weekend doing some plowing. Continually, they do a great job of keeping our roadways clear and salted. We're probably one of the better communities when it comes to keeping our roads safe. We do have some issues. We have 1 plow truck that is down currently. It is at the South Bend Freightliner. It's in for repairs. That is our 2012 snowplow truck. Right now, I know it's just under $2,000 for repairs, but it could be more significant once they continue to dive into the problems that we're having with that truck. One of our police cars is in the shop and has been in the shop since right after Christmas. Water pump blew on one of our 2016 Ford Explorers. That repair is going to be just shy of $4,000, and we've yet to get that vehicle back. The generator for the water department's booster down at Montclair in Oriole, the generator has been placed at the booster station. Gas has been ran to it. We just are now waiting for the final inspection, and then they will do a test on the generator, and we will then have generator backup for the town's water supply at our booster station. And that's been a project that has been in the works for several years, and we're very, very happy to get that completed. The septic system for the public safety building now has been operational for about 3 weeks. Everything is running well, and everybody is very pleased with the outcome of that. And as we talked at the last meeting, we'll make sure we address the landscaping needs in the spring. Talking about some of our other facilities, the street department garage across from Hacienda, the fire suppression system sprung a leak in the last week. It has been temporary patches in place. Today we got an estimate of $1,750 to repair that. I went ahead and authorized that so that we can get the fire suppression system back to 100% operational. Hopefully have that work completed in about a week. And then here at the town hall, the 2-car garage bay has been painted last week, and in the next week to 2 weeks, we will have the floor re-epoxied out there. The original epoxy floor from 2001, which is now 24 years old, is peeling, and we're going to have that replaced. And then lastly, Mary touched on the paving of Lakeshore Drive. We did have a meeting last week with Haas and Associates, myself, Street Department Superintendent Tom Dolph, and members of the Haas engineering team. Primary focus of that meeting was twofold. We talked about the spring CCMG paving project for the town. We went through the individual subdivisions that will be paving across the town and made some last minute changes to that so that we have that ready for bid, which is on your agenda for tonight, asking for authorization to move forward with letting out that project for bidding. And then, excuse me, we briefly talked about the Lakeshore Drive project. We all agree that it is very imperative that as we get the preliminary design and the preliminary cost estimates back to the town council, we would like to encourage the council to host a community meeting where we would then get an email or a letter out to all the Lakeshore Drive homeowners asking them to attend the meeting so that we can get some input from the community, as well as having the engineers present to discuss the future plans for paving Lakeshore Drive. The earliest that we anticipate having something to the council would probably be late summer or the fall for you to start reviewing and holding some community meetings. And then we're also looking at how big of a project is this going to be. Is it going to be a 2-year, 3-year paving project? A lot of that's going to be determined by the preliminary cost, because the most that we can apply for in any given year through the state grant funding right now is $1 million, sometimes $1.5 million. It is all decided by the state of Indiana. So we'll have those numbers to you as well. And then lastly, our discussion relative to a pedestrian or bike lane on Lakeshore Drive. It was kind of agreed upon by all of us that were in the meeting that that's probably not going to be recommended, just because of the amount of right-of-way that we would have to take and pave, and that we would not have enough room to do that. There would be too many disruptions along Lakeshore Drive. So all those paving projects are in the works. We had some really good discussions. In fact, our meeting lasted well over 3 hours, and we'll have a lot of that information forthcoming to all the council members. Till then, I would encourage all of you, please send me any questions that you may have, any information you would like shared with the engineers, and the same from the community. If there are any community members that have any concerns, suggestions, please email or call me, and I will make sure that your voice is heard and that it is taken into consideration as we continue to work on this project. And that is all that I have from the town administrator side.
Did you have anything to note back here? Maybe everybody noticed the big change?
Well,
Anyone notice the big, oh, look back there, yeah, they did, because you've been coming here for 100 years.
so as Councilwoman Graham just touched on, tomorrow our in-town professional consultant, Paul and I, will be meeting for the audio and video in this room. So we started with, I took down the whiteboard that's been back there for ages and has never been used. And we want to redo the room, make it a little bit more user-friendly for our meetings and that, clean up everything that's over here. We got some ideas as well. But before we start moving forward with those, I'd like to meet with Paul. We're going to do that tomorrow morning at 9. And then I'll meet with Clerk Treasurer Collins to get an idea on what the cost is going to be to make some of the changes in here. And then, yeah, we hope to have some changes in the next couple of months.
Thank you. Volunteer Fire Department, Fire Commission, Dave.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I first would like to commend Colleen for sitting in that chair. I first met Colleen Wall Lane. I met her through glass, and it happened to be the OB board at St. Anthony's. to see her today sitting there, you make me proud, Carol.
Oh, thanks, Dave.
Mark, and I made a note of it, Mark talked about Kayla. I had a great opportunity working with her. We put up some Christmas decorations around the station, and we put a tree up in the big meeting room, and we're looking at it and thought it'd be nice to have some wrapped gifts underneath. And then some of us said, well, let's start a drive for a needy cause. And went over, I talked to Kayla. She jumped on this, and within 10 days, we had bought $3,000 worth of things for 26 children, ranges 3 months up to 16, 13 or 14 moms through the Stepping Stone Shelter. And she went out shopping, I went out shopping, and it was a great experience. That's what Christmas is about. But Kayla is a gem. And she put this thing together, and she said, we'll do this and do this. I'm going, okay. And it was heartwarming. And Mark and I and a police officer and one of our members, we delivered the gifts the Monday before Christmas, and it was wonderful.
So just to clarify, the $3,000 you mentioned, that was all donated funds from residents and
Yes.
town employees.
The shortfall was made up by fire department members.
Which I also, while we're on this topic, would like to thank Santa Dave for everything that he bought, because when Dave left off, that he personally bought the women's shelter for women that are there for domestic violence and all the other unfortunate things, that he bought a TV for them, bought a basketball court for the kids, and bought a PlayStation or an Xbox for them that he delivered as well, that he's not taking credit for. So a big thank you to Dave as well. And then also, he is right, I mean, Kayla, just the imagination, creativity that she has, it wasn't enough that we had a Toys for Tots, or a collection box in the front lobby. I come out of my office one afternoon and Kayla's got the box next to her desk, and she's literally decorating it with gift wrap and putting all kinds of other signage on and that. So she's constantly thinking and doing things. So again, a big thank you to Kayla and everything that she does for all of us here at the town.
Like I say, you have a gem.
Santa Dave, I like that.
No. It's a department. Actually, part of that letter that she put together, instead of referring to fire department, police department, through Mark's wonderful attempt to bring together the two departments, we said, let's just call ourselves Long Beach First Responders, and that's what we are. So it's a little more homogeneous, so.
It might be the appropriate time to mention that Chief Swistek has been with the town for 4 years this month.
4 years?
4 years.
Time flies when
And
you're having fun.
volunteered to act as
20 more to go.
our town administrator. Things have just been really just incredibly improved, which you've spoken about in the past.
From my perspective as a resident, as a fire department member, we've got a gem in him too. Fire report for 2024. I thought I'd spend a little time today and put some graphs together. I'll just quickly go over the components of this, but sometimes I feel a picture says 1,000 words. And from a fire call standpoint, we closed the year off 2024 with 93 fire calls. The breakdown of those calls, 56 of them were false alarms, hazardous conditions like CO, carbon monoxide, or natural gas leaks. 15, we had 8 fire-related calls. We had 14 items in just a broad category. Turnout from fire department members per call is 8, which is continued and it's stayed that way for the last 6 years or 5 years. Our average response time for fire is 4.38 minutes. If you look at our calls starting in 2019 and coming through to 2024, we've seen an 80% increase in the calls over that time frame. Just 22 over 21 was a 33%. 23 over 22 was 32, and we were 24% more active on the fire side than we were last year. And that is shown once again in the graphs. On the medical side, we ended the year with 120 calls. There was only one other year that topped that, was 127, and that was in the year 2021. Of those calls, of the 120 calls, 13 were heart-related, 3 breathing-related, 33 were injury, 33 were 6-person. Lift assist, we had 21 where someone falls or has a need. They call 911 and we respond to assist that neighbor. Medical arms, we had 10 and there was a category of 2 other. Once again, our turnout per call stands at 6 for the last year. Our response time is a little better than fire, 4.1 minutes. And if we use 2019 as our index, we've increased our medical calls by 150% or 50%. So we're seeing a lot more activity. And total calls, I think it was a record breaker. 213 calls for our department. And I never remember in my years on the department breaking that 200 mark. So it was a busy year, and you can take this information when you feel sleepy and you want to fall asleep quicker, you can take a look at it. But that is my report, unless someone has questions.
I have one question.
Yes.
Can you tell me, how many years have Michiana and Duluth been part of these reports?
Michiana and Doolin are not part of these.
These are not included.
What year was it? We might have been like 2019 or 18. We stopped supplying contractual services to Doolin.
Okay.
That is now Michiana's fire department. So all we have are the calls here in Long Beach. Does that answer?
Yeah.
Good.
And then you also offer, you refer to it quite often, mutual aid, which is wonderful.
Right. And
It's not part of the,
some of the other category were mutual aid calls, where if there's a significant fire in the county, one department goes, and then they'll call the 911 center and say, have Long Beach stand by. And then what we do is we gather at the station and wait for the call. Actually, going to a mutual aid fire, what's needed out in the country are tankers that transport 3,000 to 5,000 gallons of water. We don't have tankers. So, time's up. Thank you.
thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
Fire Commission didn't meet, Public Works, Kendra,
Didn't meet,
Park Board, Kendra.
didn't meet, but did you guys hire the director?
Yes.
You want to speak to that or just say that?
Yes, we, Margaret and I and Zach were involved in interviewing, and we have hired a new activities director.
Awesome. Is that it?
Yep, from both of us.
Community Center, Anita.
The community center did not meet in January.
Budget and Finance, Meg.
The budget also did not meet in January, but I am going to give a quick recap. So the December bank rec is completed. The water bank recs will be completed this week once the bank statements are received. And then we will be finishing up our couple of last year-end entries, which is really nice. W-2s were distributed to employees on January 3rd, and the wage data will be reported to the state and federal government prior to the January 31st deadline. And then I do most of that reporting. And then the 100R report will be also filed in Gateway, which is the state reporting of the DLGF, the Department of Local Government and Finance. Then I will start working on the annual financial report that's due at the end of February. The water and street departments have been working on submitting data for the capital asset portion of the AFR. And this data, along with inventory data provided by a chief, will be input into a spreadsheet that will be maintained each year going forward. Senator Dalton, Trist actually provided me with updated fund projections this afternoon, and the capital plan had to be rolled over. I actually haven't had a chance to look at it, but we're wrapping up, as I said, the 2024 entries. I still need to just move the cash, for example, for the rainy day fund transfer. Tristan and I spoke briefly earlier today that she is advising that we move more funds into the rainy day. We made a lot of interest last year. Some of our revenues were a bit higher than anticipated and exceeded, I believe. Also just our building commission revenue. So we're going to discuss that at the budget and finance and then make a recommendation for council to possibly consider at the February meeting, just a heads up. Okay. And so financials, once we make these final entries, then I'll send the year-end financials. Should be maybe end of this week, worst case early next week. And then next month I will give a brief recap of 2024 following that February budget and finance meeting, which will be Tuesday, February 4th at 1 p.m. unless we change that time when we discuss the board members. That's all. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you. Human Resources, Meg?
HR met on December 18th, and the committee continued to review the handbook and updates to the handbook. We are hoping to have a labor attorney review the handbook in early 2025, and the cost for this review was approved by the 2024 council at the November meeting. And the next HR meeting is scheduled for this Wednesday, January 15th at 1 p.m.
Joy?
Dude.
I just want to make one statement. As an accountant, when I was on the council in the early 90s, I never, ever heard that the bank accounts were reconciled before 15th of January. Most of the time, they were never reconciled, sad to say. So, bravo to you, my dear.
Yes. Thank you.
Bravo.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks, Meg. Tree Board, Ellen?
The tree board did not meet, but at our last meeting, we had divided up certain updates that we're making to the ordinance. As we did the ordinance, we're finding things we need to tweak. So, and the one I'm talking about today is the fines. I looked at a lot of different places, Michiana, Valparaiso, all them, and how they write their fines for the tree board and for trees. So what I've done is I made a sheet up here so you could actually look at it, and each of you can pass them out. The one on the top is what we have right now in our ordinance, and the one on the bottom is a recommended revision. I'm sure probably still needs to be tweaked a little bit, especially by the lawyer. Anyway, what we're recommending is persons found violating any provision of our tree ordinance or failing to comply with any notice issued pursuant to the provisions of the ordinance shall be subject to fines. A fine of not less than $750 per tree shall be levied. In addition, the violator shall pay fair market value for a replacement tree in its place if they take one down, and placement of any removed tree, if done without permission from the Long Beach Tree Board. We do have a permit system that people can fill out. If they want to take a tree down on town property, we have a whole, that's all in the town. in the tree ordinance. And the cost of repair, replacement, and appraisal of dollar value, as well as the cost to the town of Long Beach to enforce this violation, shall be paid by the violator. So, and then the last sentence I put, because that was the last sentence on the last one, so I think it's probably something legal that I don't understand. Nothing herein shall be construed to limit any other remedies at law or equity, so. And that's where we're at. And we wanted, we would have an arborist that would look at fair market value, and we're gonna use this ISA guide for plan appraisal. It talks about the size of the tree, what kind of tree, and it kind of gives you like a fair market value price for if they take down something that they shouldn't have taken down, so. I don't envision a lot of this happening, and I hope it doesn't, that we don't get to this point, but I think stating it and letting them know that we have something in place. But I think the biggest thing about this is that we gotta tell people and get this out to all the, to our, we'll use Kayla, get it out on the visions. And I think also the other thing with this is that I think the people that come in and register and work in our town, the tree people that come in and do that they need to know that even though a resident is telling them to cut down a tree and they're not, and it's on town property, they should know not to do that. That we expect them, and we would expect them to do that. And if they don't work in the town. I mean, they have to have some culpability. They say, oh, he told me to do that. It's not good enough. It's kind of like the dog ate my homework kind of thing. So, so that's about where we're at with that. So I think I had something else. No, and I also would like to be able to, once we do update the ordinance, is to make a copy of the ordinance and send it to all of the people that do tree cutting down and landscaping, and have them read this so they have it, so they can't say they never got it. I mean, I'll make the copies and put them in envelopes and mail them to them, so just so they know that they're going to be required to follow our rules. So, and that's it. Any questions?
Yeah. So, recommended revision, does the first part still stay intact? Because I see a fine not less than $75 per tree, but they should also be held responsible if they do this more than once in a lifetime? Because it's $500 for a first violation, right? $1,000
Yeah,
for a second, so that could still stay?
Yeah, in this one, we don't say first violation. You cut a tree down, you're gonna pay $750. If you cut 5 trees down, you're gonna $750 times 5.
Right, but would we
Right.
still keep the second violation, third violation in there, so that if they did it
No,
in 5
that's been
years?
replaced by the bottom.
By the bottom.
That whole top
Yeah, it just
thing
didn't
is-
make sense when you talk about a tree, if there's more than one tree. When I even read it, it's like first violation is that one tree, and then the second tree would be $1,000. It just didn't read right to me. And any other, comments or, tweaking of this, we're mostly wide open for it, but I do think that, what our basic goal is, we don't want people coming in and, if they buy property and cutting down the town trees just to get at the land that they want to that's fine, but you're gonna have to figure out a way to do that without cutting down trees, so that's basically what we're trying to do, so.
I know this has to be done by public hearing.
Well, the fine system, but I would suggest that we don't piecemeal it and they get their review completed before we do anything.
Yeah,
I agree with that as well.
yeah, so, I just thought, I'd do this, and then we have like one other section and just some cleanup of some of the exhibits that are at the end of it, our goal is to make sure it's all done before March, so that's why I thought this is the biggest change.
So Ellen, you and I talked earlier, and I just want to say again, thank you. Tree Board just continues to move forward, and you mentioned baby steps, like you can't change everything, but this is something that came up, fines, and you've written something, so Tree Board is
kind of
really
a new
making
committee.
you
I
up.
don't think there were any laws before about cutting trees down in Long Beach, and so this is we're kind of inventing it on the way, so, but I do think people should be held responsible. But you can't hold people responsible for something they don't know about. So between Kayla and maybe mailing things out, hopefully we're gonna get it around to everyone. And then some of the stuff that's happened with the tree on 29, you just can't Just do what you want and we have arrived. Thank you, all right, thanks. Building Commission met on 1/10/25. The building software is live. It's called iWorks. It's a learning curve for all of us, but I think it's going pretty smoothly, all things considered. 2135 Chastleton, their illegal fence was removed. Permits approved, 2009 Oriole Trail for a second floor addition, 2208 Florimond for a fence. Permits denied, 3028 Mayfield Way, pool in the front yard, they're gonna have to go to the BZA. That's it for the Building Commission, any questions? Okay, moving on to the BZA, they met on 1/8/25. The variance for Cam Properties Liquor Store by Hacienda was denied, and they elected their officers for this year, Seth McCormick, President, John Mengel, Vice President. Any questions? Advisory Plan Commission, Anita?
Advisory Plan Commission met on December 16th. The only item on our agenda was we had a discussion of whether or not we would want to change wording to say that outdoor storage of recreational vehicles, which is currently prohibited in front and side yards, whether it would be prohibited in backyards. And the committee decided not to move forward with that.
Any questions? Building revenue report, Meg?
For December 2024, tentative issues totaling $211,058 with revenue of $2,494. For electric permits issued totaling $598. Legal expenses paid in December for G. Nelson James, $4,321.25. And accounting charges paid December, $2,672.42. And I would ask for a motion to approve.
I'll make that motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Unfinished business, Lexipol grant assistant contract reference to police boat.
Madam President, before we start on the discussion, I'd like to, for the public's information, read what I had sent to the town council last week, just to kind of summarize information relative to a lot of good questions that have been asked in recent weeks and that I have replied to the council members, providing them with the information. And I just want to take a couple minutes to share that with the public that's in attendance tonight. So with the U.S. Coast Guard station here in Michigan City potentially downsizing and operating only on 2 weekends each month during the summer, emergency response times will be significantly delayed. In fact, I know from last week's conversation I had with the chief at the Coast Guard station is that they will only be working a 40-hour work week, where typically in the past they were a 24/7 operation. There were Coast Guard members that slept at the station. They were readily available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They will now continue working only 40 hours per week. However, they will be switching their hours of operation. Last year they were working like a 3 p.m. to 11 p.m. shift. And I shared with the Coast Guard chief that that really wasn't helpful for the swimmers that are in the water at 1 o'clock in the afternoon or even noon. So they are going to change some of their hours. In addition to that, the Coast Guard station plays a critical role in the safety and security of Lake Michigan. As the only Lake Michigan Coast Guard station of its kind here in Indiana, it averages 125 search and rescue calls a year, providing life-saving operations to the surrounding communities. The reduction of operating hours will lead to a longer response time and increase the chances of fatalities on the lakefront. A new patrol boat for the Long Beach Police Department will ensure that first responders can respond promptly to emergencies. Our local community, including boaters, fishermen, and tourists, rely on the presence of a patrol boat for safety. The boat's presence can deter unsafe boating practices and provide a sense of security. In recent years, we provided fuel estimates to the council. In the last 3 years, we spent $922.93 in fuel. However, those amounts are very low because like last year, our police boat was down for about 3 weeks for service. So we did not spend much time on the lake last year due to maintenance concerns. A larger boat, yes, would consume more fuel and at times could cost additional costs in maintenance as well, all that will be figured into our budget. During events like the 4th of July weekend and the annual Super Powerball races, the patrol boat can provide additional safety coverage, ensuring that boating activities are conducted safely and within legal boundaries. Investing in a new, larger boat equipped to handle rough waters and advanced life-saving measures will assist the town's ability to respond to emergencies regardless of weather conditions. Ensuring safety on the water also can enhance the town's reputation as a safe and desirable destination. The presence of a patrol boat contributes to the overall quality of life for our residents and visitors, providing peace of mind, ensuring that the lakefront remains a safe place for recreational activities. Investing in a new patrol boat is not just about enhancing safety and response capabilities, it's about preserving the unique appeal of the town of Long Beach. Some of the questions that were asked in the last couple of weeks are maintenance. What would we spend to replace the current 1999 19-foot Boston Whaler that was purchased from Walt Disney World back in, it's in 97, we purchased it, I believe, in 97. That boat was purchased for about $20,000 and an additional $8,000 in the engine improvements. So just, a $28,000 investment at the time. The grant that we're wanting to submit for currently is the Port Security Grant. It is a federal grant that would cover 75% of the cost of the boat, and then the town would be responsible for the other 25%. The boats that we're looking at, 25 to a 29-foot vessel, would cost anywhere from $233 upwards to $300, maybe $50,000 on the top end. But we're not looking to get the top end boat. We're looking to get what the U.S. Coast Guard would recommend that we would have to obtain through the grant to be eligible to receive the grant. Fuel, typically I estimate fuel we would spend $500 to maybe $1,000 a year in fuel, all of which is within our budget. Storage for the boat, the cost of that simply would be just shrink wrapping the boat, putting the plastic over the top. We have plenty of space to store it over at our street department garage. Dock space, there's a question raised about dock space. Currently, the United States Coast Guard allows us to keep our boat in the water at their facility because they had to return their 45-footer to St. Joe, Michigan. So they no longer have the large boat here. They utilize their 29-footer right now because the large boat, when they decreased their hours of operation, they had to forfeit that boat to St. Joe, Michigan. So now if we have a lakefront emergency, as Chief Albers can attest to, last year when we had a sailboat out there that was in distress, we had to call St. Joe, Michigan for the Coast Guard response, and I think Dave would tell us 45 minutes it would be on scene to assist us. Overtime, I estimate that we would spend roughly about $3,000, maybe $5,000 a year on the high end for overtime because the boat patrol, we are very blessed to have a reserve deputy unit that costs the town nothing. They do not charge us, it's a voluntary unit, and they come out and they act as a second set of hands on the boat, and fire personnel, volunteers have also volunteered to assist us. And then lastly, there's discussion about conducting an actual needs assessment. Do we actually need a police patrol boat for the town? And I'm not disagreeing with that whatsoever. That is something that maybe we should discuss leading into if we do receive this grant. So what I'd like to do, and the council will have to decide tonight, is we have an opportunity to apply for a port security grant. We have asked Lexipol to assist us in the grant writing for this particular grant because it is a very complex grant. They offered us, their initial fee was $6,000. Since we are already a current client with them, they're giving us a $2,000 discount because we do our police online training that we're mandated to do each year for the Indiana Law Enforcement Academy. So as a current client, we reduced that by $2,000, taking it down to a total of $4,000. The grant opens up in May, and they usually typically award the grant sometime in the latter part of the fall, usually around November. Last year, the department, along with H&S Services, had hosted a fundraiser just for the police boat program. We raised $14,084. That money can only be used for the Marine Patrol Unit. Last year, we used some of those funds to do some maintenance on the boat, so there remains $9,541 in that donation account. And we're very, very grateful to the residents that had contributed to that particular fundraiser. So the request before the council tonight at $4,000 expenditure to Lexipol, I would recommend that we use $4,000 of the $9,500 to pay for this grant opportunity. If we are by chance awarded the grant, then the decision would have to be made by the council if we accept the grant and make the expenditure moving forward. What I have been told by Lexipol is that typically police and fire departments that apply for this type of grant typically do not succeed on their first grant application. Sometimes it takes 2 or 3 years before they're successful. By spending this $4,000, allowing them to assist us in the writing of the grant, we then own the application. So if we decide in years 2 and 3 to apply for the grant, we simply could fine tune the grant application, not having to do a lot of research and other activities to submit the full grant, and or we could engage Lexipol again, maybe at a lesser cost than the original $4,000, to assist us with resubmitting on years 2 and 3. So this potential grant opportunity could be years away for the town. Till then, we'll continue to maintain the 19-foot patrol boat that we have until the engine's blow on it and it's no longer serviceable. Last year, the fuel system had to be replaced, the steering was worked on, and then the starter last year had to be replaced as well. So one of the other downsides to the current boat is it's a very small vessel. It cannot go out into very rough, Lake Michigan waters, where the boats that we're looking at, the 25 to 29 foot safe boats, are actually made to be in that type of, water at the time, and are approved by the U.S. Coast Guard for, police and patrol and search and rescue operations. So again, a lot of great questions over the last 2 weeks from the council. I hope that I provided as much information as possible to you. Again, I'd like to answer any additional questions tonight as we continue this discussion. But for now, I'm just asking the council's permission to move forward with the proposal with Lexipol for the $4,000 to at least get this grant submitted this year, and then we'll see where we go from there moving forward.
And your $4,000 comes from your donation fund?
That is correct. There's $9,541 remaining, and out of that $9,541, it can only be used for the Marine unit.
Okay. I'm just going to say my piece first, and then the rest of the council can weigh in if they want to. But I absolutely think that a beach community needs a boat. I think there should be police presence on the waterfront. That's where all the action happens in our town, and I am really grateful that I live in a town that can afford to have a boat. That's my opinion on it. If anybody else wants to weigh in, please do.
I agree with what Joy said, and it just to get started with this grant is amazing, and through donated funds that were done by our I forget what do we call them, the guys, our reserve unit. And I want to thank Chief too, because there were quite a few questions, and he make sure that we get the answers, and I absolutely support that we authorize Chief to use his money that was donated for this purpose to move forward with the preparation of the grant.
I'll go next. In difference to both Joy and Anita, I am not in favor of a vote, although I am solely 100% behind Chief and the police department and the fire department and all our wonderful first responders, 100,000%. We're so lucky to have them, and I do agree, feel very happy and glad that we live in a safe community, but I do not think we have the resources to support a vote, nor do I think that we should start patrolling the waters. Our police are busy, and the fire department and first responders very busy and do a great job with fires and lift assists and things like that. And now we're gonna take on the lakefront, which is, I just think opens up so many questions. I was the one asking a lot of those questions, and so Chief had said that it's going to patrol Long Beach, Dulin Beach, and Michiana mostly. So of course, and can respond to if the tragedy is down in Mount Baldy or something like that. But mostly it would be Long Beach, Dulin Beach, and Michiana. So again, everything is shouldered on Long Beach. Dulin Beach and Michiana aren't going to pay anything. So I mean, at least they should be looking at going on thirds with us on this or something, not just Long Beach doing all the work, the grant writing, all the money, all the resources, patrolling the waters. And then that brings up a question to me about patrolling the waters, because Chief had stated it's not the goal of the boat to board vessels, look for OWIs operating while intoxicated, although they have the ability to write a ticket, which is, it's great if they needed to, but that's not the main purpose. That the main purpose is just to have a presence of safety on the lakefront. So to me, that is a big ticket item for a presence of safety, when in actuality, it's not going to be boarding vessels to make sure people have the right life jackets, or telling people to slow down, or doing anything but just a presence. So I think that's not a great use of resources. And also, it said that we're not going to use it on rough days. It will be allowed to go out on rough days because of the marine, how it has to pass the Coast Guard's approval for the boat. But if we're not going to use it on rough days when people are most likely to drown, we're only going to use it on sunny, warm days to have this feel-good presence among boaters. Where I think our ATVs, Chief in the group does a great job. Those ATVs go up and down the beach. I think they're able to reach swimmers quicker than a boat. I mean, most drownings happen 50 feet from shore. So they would be able, maybe we increase the presence of the ATVs or the people out there, or lifeguards, which I've never liked the idea of lifeguards, but that's, if we're talking about saving lives, ATVs closer to the swimmers or lifeguards are more beneficial than a boat that isn't going to be out on a rough day, and it's only going to be possibly out on a sunny day. And if there is a rough day and a drowning, a 20-minute response time that has to be responded to the select reserve group that's this lovely that they're not charging us. I'm not worried about the money, but I'm saying minimum 20 minutes. I mean, if there's a call in distress, you have to locate that group. They have to go down to the boat, get on the boat, get their stuff, go to and by that time, the person's probably not going to still be drowning. That's way too long of a time. So that doesn't make sense to me. If the boat was like gonna be out, I guess in short, we're never gonna be able to fill what the Coast Guard's supposed to do. They're going from a 24/7 operation to a 40-hour work week, and we're gonna add a boat to make people feel better and have a presence. But in reality, it's not gonna be out there on the rough days, and it's not gonna be able to get to somebody for a minimum of 20 minutes, and that's if that select group is available. I mean, they're all reserved, so the calls can come in at any time, but if it comes in on like a Saturday and that group's at a graduation party, that they can't get to it. Like, you're never gonna know when a tragedy is gonna happen, and if the boat's not out there 24/7, that's kind of a huge investment of resources for a small town. I mean, we're 1,100, not even 2,000 people. So I just looked. So we don't have a boat. Well, we did, but thinking about replacing it. But Dune Beach, Michiana doesn't have a boat. Beverly Shores doesn't have a boat. Whiting is on the lake. They have 5,000 people. They do not have a boat. The only place that does have a boat is Miller Beach, Gary, which is a population of almost 80,000 people. And Michigan City has a boat, but they don't come patrol down here for Long Beach. So then I'm also like, then why is Long Beach always doing it for Dune Beach, Michiana, maybe we can pull resources and the Michigan City boat can come this way sometimes or something. And there's also, I believe, a LaPorte County Sheriff's boat. So there are other boats, and I think our resources are too thin to have this huge of an expense, even if we only have to pay 25% of a boat. I mean, boats are so expensive, even though, I mean, unfortunately we have a boat, and I know Mark, you said $500 to $1,000 of fuel. Every time we take our boat out, it's $100, and it's how big our boat is, 29 feet. And we don't even drive it the whole time. We sit and sunbathe on it. So if this boat, when it goes out, is gonna actually be patrolling up and down, there's no way $500 to $1,000 a summer is gonna cover that. But again, there's always, like David brought up, there's no price, you can't put a price tag on life. But I do think there's other resources this town needs that can be used 24/7, 365 days a year, not just on the sunny, warm days. So, and concerns about boats going in and fast during, between the buoys and the water, the ATV, the policemen on the ATVs can easily, with a megaphone or whatnot, control that. I just think that, the department's doing a great job the way they are doing. Maybe we can increase that a little bit, make more presence on the beach. I mean, the rings that Mark got the grant for that we put in have been great, and look at things like that rather than a boat that is going to be used maybe a couple times a year, but most likely just brought out on sunny days to show a nice presence. I just think that we can find a better use for the resources. That's it.
Thank you. Is the boat only going out on sunny days?
That's what Mark said in the.
No, not just on sunny days. I mean, we will be patrolling on the boat. The response time, I guess just to touch on that, is it's true if the boat isn't in operation and on the water at the time, the response time would be getting staff to the Coast Guard station. All the equipment would be on the boat and then just leaving the harbor and then responding to the emergency. But if the boat is out on a Friday, Saturday, or a Sunday, and the emergency happens, we're right on scene. And we're able to save lives by being on scene. So it's just not going to be a response vessel. We would actually be out on the lake. For instance, this year, 4th of July falls on a Friday. We just had a meeting a couple of weeks ago, already planning for the 4th of July, that we know this year, July 3rd is a Thursday. We'll have the ice cream social, so we'll be busy Thursday. Friday's the 4th, we'll be busy. Saturday, Sunday, Monday, everybody will start going back home. So I've got 4 full days that we're already planning that on the 4 days, the current boat that we have will be out at a minimum, probably the Friday, Saturday, Sunday of that weekend, that we'll try and, staff out on the lake. And we will be out in choppy waters and that. Now, I'm not going to send staff out in, 6 to 8 foot swells out on the water, but if there's 2 to 3 foot, rollers out there, yeah, we could be out there if need be. But then again, if there's nobody in the water, we're not going to patrol. So.
Thanks, Mark. Thank you too for your patience and answering all the questions. And I agree with Kendra somewhat. We just had a couple other questions. You mentioned, patrolling near Michigan City and their lakefront too, and that's where the boat would be. And I wonder, what their point, how they're feeling about the reduction in the Coast Guard staff, and is there any way we can work with them for additional patrolling? If they already have a boat, maybe, use theirs, or is there anything we can do with them?
So the city of Michigan City does not have a boat. They've asked in the past to use our boat for their dive team to go out and conduct, training exercises and that. Chief Bear Taylor from the Michigan City Fire Department, I believe, is looking at the same Port Authority grant that we are looking at. Whether or not they're going to apply, I do not know, but know for a fact that last year in July, when we were meeting prior to the August Superpower Boat Race meetings, all of us were present at those meetings. I spoke to the chief at the time, and he indicated he was working with the Michigan City mayor in hopes of applying for a grant for a boat for the city of Michigan City. The only boats that are available now are the Coast Guard are here, the Department of Natural Resources, which is located on the water just underneath the Franklin Street Bridge. They come out and assist us at times as well. And then I believe the LaPorte County Sheriff's Department, they recently received a new boat, I believe through one of the grant programs. And I believe they are also going to be looking at possibly applying for a larger boat for Lake Michigan and some of their marine operations as well. So, but yeah, Michigan City at this time does not have a boat, nor have they ever had a boat. In my almost 30 years in Michigan City, we didn't have one at the Michigan City Police Department.
That, I didn't know that, I thought they did. Well, wouldn't it make sense then to get together and everybody buy one boat? Michigan City, Michiana, Doolin Beach, Sheridan Beach, everybody chip in, everybody be responsible, everybody staff it, then it can be out there all the time, not Long Beach, again, kind of taking on the responsibility and doing it and not being able to if we don't have the manpower or the money. But if Michigan City's looking at a boat, we're looking at a boat, we're only talking about 5 miles. There's going to be 2 boats. That seems like a lot of money. Couldn't we all just get together and buy one boat and staff it with then a rotating schedule or something?
As we begin to dive into this grant application, there are possibilities to have those discussions, and sometimes with federal grant opportunities, you have more pull per se when you come together with like a mutual aid type agreement and that. So that may be something that we could look at, that the other communities, I meet with them almost monthly. So that's a discussion that we can have as we begin to dive into this grant opportunity. We can look at, possibly sharing a boat or sharing some of these expenses in that. When you talk about the communities of Doolin Beach and the town of Michiana Shores, just for the public's knowledge, we are their police department. So we are under police contract with the other 2 communities. So annually, each of those communities pay the town of Long Beach for our police services to provide them 24/7 police operations. So that includes, the land, the water, investigative, detectives, whatever they need. We are their police department, so we're responsible for their lakefront safety as well in those other 2 communities. So essentially, from stop 13 to stop 37, that's kind of our patrol operations. We have that whole length of Lakeshore Drive. So when people ask, well, why were your ATVs down in Doolin Beach or down near, the Michigan state line, that's because we're responsible for that entire length of, the lakefront. But no, Kendra, good point. That's something, if going into this grant opportunity that we can look at, and then when I come back to the council with more information and, we find out what's available in the grant. A lot of that information has been released at this time because we're waiting for all that to get released. So therefore, that's why we're asking for the opportunity to spend the $4,000 of the donation money that has already been gifted to the department by our residents to begin to explore this grant application, then come back to the council, have this type of discussion again with the community and the council, and before we get final authorization to move forward in any type of purchase, we can then, have more information for all of you to consider.
That's what I just wanted to confirm, that the $4,000 is already donated. You already have the funds available for specifically this. And just if in fact the town were to receive the grant, that doesn't mean automatically if you get notice that we've received the grant or that it's been approved, that doesn't mean that you must the next day have a boat to buy. So I just want to make that clear, that this is just strictly the grant application that would be open in May and awarded sometimes in November, that this is not money out of the town's pocket, that the town does not have a boat on hold, the town doesn't have a boat ready to come to it. If we get the grant in November, we're not going to have a boat running in March or April. This is specifically funds that were donated for the use of marine work and that it doesn't mean that we have to buy a boat if in fact the grant is awarded to the town.
Very true, and then I will also take the initial step to meet with, actually I have a meeting this Thursday with all of the LaPorte County police chiefs and the sheriff, and that during my meeting Thursday with them, I'll explore with them as well that we're looking at applying for this grant opportunity and see if there's any interest in a mutual aid type of agreement. And then also, if approved tonight, letting Lexipol know that we want to explore with the federal grant authority to see if we can do a multi-jurisdictional type of application where if the boat was shared and then some sort of agreement by the communities it's shared with, then the staffing issue is pretty much null and void. Then you'd have police and fire from Michigan City, police and fire from Long Beach, that could, assist in manning the boat. And then hopefully the Coast Guard would continue to give us dock space. The boat would always be in the water. And then it's more or less who gets to the boat first, brings the boat out, or we come up with a schedule of, when the boat goes out, who's going to patrol on the boat. We do it with SWAT operations, multi-jurisdictional task force and that. So right now, my primary focus with this entire grant application is making sure that we have the tools necessary to keep our residents and our visitors safe, and for us to be able to respond to the lakefront with all the necessary tools. If we can save a life, you can't put a price tag on this boat. But again, I'll look at those opportunities, and Kendra brings up a good point tonight that I'd be more than happy to have those discussions with the other police and fire chiefs to see if there's any interest. So.
Well, that's why I wanted to, I just wanted to voice my support for a new police boat. I have really small children and we go to the beach all the time, and the beaches are always packed. And when you said that Long Beach is responsible for stop 13 up to stop 37, that's an incredibly long stretch of beach. A lot of the visitors in the summer aren't from here. They come here for very short amounts of time. A lot of people haven't grown up here, and I think that it is extremely important that the police have a presence on the lake, both ATV and in a boat. I feel like Michigan City, let them buy their own boat. They have their own resources, whatever. I think the fact that we are responsible for taking care of so many communities, my children are swimming at Stop 20, and there are jet skis and wave runners in the swimming area. If you guys had, what you needed to patrol that, maybe there wouldn't be jet skis buzzing right by our lily pad all the time. Maybe it would inhibit some of that behavior from the people that don't know better. I just wanted to say that. So since you guys have the money that already in your account, I want to support that you guys are able to use it.
Thank you. I would make a motion to approve the money for the grant proposal for Lexipol.
I would second that motion and just add that it's not approval of town funds, it's approval of what the chief has donated for marine work, so that there is no town fund money being used for this.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any more discussion?
I would just like to add that the question remains, does Long Beach by itself need to have, a police boat, or is it really more preferable to do it in conjunction with Michigan City and other communities? Because even if you get the grant, I think it would be hard to say, if nobody else was interested, we're not going to get it because they're not, but we got the grant, we should get it. And I think once you apply for the grant, you're going down that road. And so I think it would be nice to establish that the consensus is this is a good idea if it's in conjunction with Michigan City and other communities.
Okay, well, that's a decision we can make, down the road.
Okay.
Before we vote, I just want to get, I think we know how vote's gonna play out, but I guess maybe from Chris more on a legal thing about the money that was donated, because we've run into this before where money was given to the town by someone because they wanted something to be done, and they went ahead and did it with pickleball courts being striped. And then we never voted on something like that. So money was raised at a fundraiser. We never voted on approving a fundraiser. So isn't there some sort of legality about like giving money and saying it can only be used for this, or I'm going to take it back? And if that was the case, that's fine. But I don't think like this discussion is going because the money was raised for that. We should use it. But we never voted as a council that we are going to approve a fundraising event and it can only go for the boat, and then otherwise the money gets given back.
But that was the police department fundraiser for the boat. That's why they had it, and it had nothing to do
Actually, it
with
was
the
an
council.
outside activity, correct?
Yeah.
The fundraiser, so residents, as they have for other things, they can raise and they can specify what they want those funds. So that would not take your approval. And my
Okay.
understanding, unless I'm incorrect, is it was some of your reserve officers, right?
Yeah, H&S nice did it, which is great. I just
So-
was wondering how that.
Yep, so they can earmark it, and then
Okay.
it can
Okay.
revert to them if you don't use it for those purposes.
Okay.
Any more discussion? We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Opposed.
Okay, it passes 3-2. Thank you. Lakeshore Drive Sewer, I don't see Attorney Bergerson here, and we have not received yet a signed contract. So I say we take that off the agenda until we hear from them again. This last time it was a year. New business, committee and board assignments. I'm just gonna go through the changes we have here. On the BZA, will remain the same. Fred Woods has agreed to another term, and so has Seth McCormick. Building Commission will remain the same. Advisory Plan Commission, Seth McCormick said he would do another term. Matt Parstan is going to stay. We do have one opening on the APC. It's a 3-year term through 2027. So if anyone who's interested in that, please let us know. Police Commission, Colleen is replacing Shannon, and Megan Applegate was appointed as citizen by the president. So that will be Chief Swistek, Colleen Lane, John Coker, Megan Applegate. Public Works and Safety remains the same. I have a question mark by Scott Pop. Kendra, I asked him if he'd like to stay, but I never heard back from him. So.
Scott, okay.
Stormwater Board is going to be me, Kendra, and Cindy Levy is replacing Shannon, I believe. Fire Commission, Cindy Levy is also replacing Shannon. Everybody else remains the same. Park Board, we got a very good resume somewhere here. We'll be appointing Elena Ruane to finish Cindy Levy's term through 2025 because now that Cindy's on the council, she has to come off the park board. So we did get information from Elena Ruane. She took MBA classes at Northern Illinois University. She has a BS degree from Southern Illinois. Her major was Park and Recreation Administration. Her minor, Communications and Public Relations.
She's worked at the Palatine Park District as Recreation Supervisor for 2 years, Superintendent of Recreation Department for 3 years. She's worked at the Wheaton Park District, Director of Marketing and Development for 2 years. She's done a lot of other stuff. Vacation by Globetrotters. Anyway, she was President of Suburban Parks and Recreation Association, Board Member of Illinois Park and Recreation Association, so I think she comes highly qualified for our park board. So I don't think she's here tonight, but we welcome Elena to the park board. And we reappointed Zach Neff because everyone else is pretty new on this board, and so Zach will have a term through 2028. Budget and Finance Committee, the only change we have is Colleen Lane is replacing JD. Police Advisory Board will remain the same, Dan Moon, Zach Neff, Bob Rose. Human Resources, Cindy Levy is replacing JD. And we have a new appointment, Beth White is here. Hi Beth, it was nice to meet you tonight. Beth has a master's in early childhood education. She has her learning behavioral specialist endorsement. Her first career was account rep for AT&T. She became the director of student services at Ascension School in Oak Park and led that program for 7 years. She's helped with capital campaign for Boys and Girls Club and has been involved with the activities committee at the Acorn. So Beth, we welcome you to Human Resources. Thank you very much for being willing to get involved.
Joy, is it going to be an addition and then Georgetta and then Mike remains as well?
Yes.
Thank you.
Community Center Management Team will remain the same, Joe, Doug, and Larry. NERC is going to be, Colleen Lane is going to replace JD. And the Tree Board will remain the same, Ellen Lynch, Janice Brown, Jane Kroll, Charlie Doby, and Dave Levy. Any questions? Okay, thank you, everyone. And if anybody knows of anyone who would like to be on the APC, please let us know. Haas and Associates, 2025 hourly service rates. We have a motion to approve.
I would make that motion to approve Haas and Associates hourly rates for the year 2025.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Haas and Associates invoice for $8,657.50. Approved to pay for the 2024-2 CCMG grant application, PAMP, and INDOT HSIP grant submittal design and bidding services.
I would make a motion to approve $8,657.50 to pay Haas and Associates for the invoice dated January 9, 2025.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Haas and Associates invoice for $12,372.95 approved to pay for Lakeshore Drive conceptual design.
I would make a motion to pay the invoice not to exceed $30,000.
This one's just 12.
I'm sorry about that. I looked at that. $12,366.25.
It's $12,372.95.
Oh, for Pete's sake. Excuse me, I redo the motion. I make a motion to pay Haas and Associates $12,372.95 for the Lakeshore Drive conceptual design.
I'll second that. Any more discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Authorization to proceed with bidding for the spring CCMG paving utilizing grant funds.
If I could just add real quick, the reason we want to get authorization to release this for bid now is that contractors are beginning to build out their operational schedule for 2025. If we can release our bid package early, the chances of getting a more competitive bid from the paving companies and having more success would be beneficial to us. So therefore, during our meeting last week, Haas and Associates had asked that we get this authorization sooner than later, and then they will release it here very quickly, and then we'll bring all the bids back to the council. Also want to add, I did find out last week, I failed to mention this earlier, speaking of grants, we received an additional grant for this year for pavement markings, where we were going to go across the town and upgrade some of our pavement markings. That grant program, we did get approved for it. We are set to receive approximately, I think it was around $70,000 in funds. I'm now being told that the feds may be pulling that back and putting that on hold until calendar year 2026. So just be delayed in getting the work done, but it sounds like we're still going to be receiving those grant funds, but it may not be for this year's paving. So, and I'll keep you updated if I learn of any changes.
Thank you. Okay, I'll make a motion to authorize to proceed with bidding for the spring CCMG paving.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Republic Services 2025 to 2027 contract extension, authorized signatures.
I have one thing to bring up that I meant to send earlier. This is more a question for Chris. Under section 8.1 is the invoicing of the town. And the town shall report to the company by the 5th of each month the total number of addresses subject to this agreement and that have been billed for services by the town. Currently, we, at least in my time that I've been here, I need to just give an update to Republic if our number changes. So I don't know if it's too late to amend that if the number changes, we then update. We can give them an update monthly. It might be too late to change it.
It's not too late, just make it subject to making sure that complies.
Yeah.
So if there's a motion to approve it, it'll just be subject to making sure that timing is agreed to. And if
Because
not,
our number, the number of houses doesn't change very often. So I caught this too late. Deanna actually noticed it too.
yeah, they've been pretty reasonable in dealing with.
Yeah, and I
so-
think I could just talk to them and.
Well, we should say what we want, so I just think if we make it approved, subject to making sure that matches what our givens are, it won't be a big undertaking to have them amended or anything.
Okay.
All right, I will make that motion that we approve this with the exception that 8.1 gets that change that Meg needs.
A little more flexible.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any more discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any council comments? Claims approval, Meg?
All December checks and payroll were approved at the year-end meeting on December 30th, so no claims this evening.
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn at 8:28 PM.
I'll second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.